She's a grown adult, and she's getting bullied by this 13-year-old girl. Hey y'all, and welcome to Joey's Booked. So more than ever lately, I feel like I have been giving more and more books really low 1 to 2 star reviews. I don't know if it's just because I'm reading more and I'm finding more and more of a taste for what kind of fiction that I like. I don't know if it's I've been reading a lot more new to me authors, and a lot of those haven't been ones that I like a lot, or if I've just been reading books and knowing that sometimes they're not ones that I'm going to rate super, super highly. Now, that's not to say that I haven't given any 4 or 5 star reviews, but some of the ones I have given lately have been from repeat authors that I've loved in the past. A year ago, I think I had maybe only ever given 1 star review at all. This year, I know I've given at least 3 1-star reviews, and 2 of them have been in the past month. If it's not a full 1, it's at least 1.5. On top of that, I've been giving a lot of 2s. I've had quite a few this year, which, if I can go back and look at my stats for the whole year, I've probably had a lot of 3 and 4 stars. But July and August were not my greatest reading months. So, in this video, I want to try to combat that. I want to see if I can go back and read some authors I've read from before, and if not a 5-star, let's at least shoot for hopefully a 3 to 4. See if maybe just going back to authors I've enjoyed will help me find those kind of books that I'm looking for. What we're going to be doing is I'm going to go back to authors that I have read from at least 2 books from. Now, I've picked a couple different selections, and I've had varying ratings with some of these authors before. So I've tried to kind of pick a mix, see where these land, and hopefully we'll get some more reviews. The first book that I've picked is from an author I consider an all-time favorite, but if we actually go back and look at what books I've read from them before, I've kind of had some mixed reviews. And that book is going to be Life Ceremony by Sayaka Murata. Now, this itself is a real kind of shot looking for a great read because it is a short story collection. Not only do short story collections kind of have a hard time just being rated in general, I think that's just the general consensus for book reviewers, because not every story is always going to be a hit. But on top of that, short stories are really hit or miss for me usually. It's very rare that I give a super high rating to a collection, but one of the only recent 5 stars I've had lately was a short story collection by Eric LaRocca, We Can Never Leave This Place. This is not only a short story collection, it's also translated from Japanese, which also can be kind of hit or miss for me sometimes. I used to think I was just obsessed with a lot of Japanese literature. I really liked all the translated stuff, but lately I've been having more misses than hits with that. In the past from Sayaka Murata, though, and the reason I'm picking this book is some of the books I've read before. Last year, I did read Convenience Store Woman, which I think I only gave like a 3-star, even though I did really enjoy it, and I really, really enjoyed the commentary on it. This is a fun one. It's just a quick read. I would recommend this out. It's got some really, really good conversation on conformity, especially within Japan's society and stuff like that. It's a great one. But one of my favorite books of all time is also Sayaka Murata, which, if you've seen some of my past videos, you know that I am obsessed with this book, and that's Earthlings. And unintentionally almost matching this today. But Earthlings is one of my all-time favorite books. When I was even playing around with channel ideas, I was trying to find some way to do a play on words with this because I was obsessed with it so much. It's not for everyone, but this one is so much more absurd. It's not as mundane, and it just goes to some weird places, and I love it. And I'm hoping with Life Ceremony, because even just looking at this cover, I'm hoping that we can find some really absurd, crazy things that Murata is known to be able to do. I did pick this up a little early before filming this intro, so I have read about 4 short stories. I needed something just to kind of chip away at kind of towards the end of August, so I read 1 or 2 here or there. And so far, not super sure how I'm feeling about it. So the first story in this, I think I gave about a 3-ish star, and it's about situation where we have a society where it's normal for once you die, instead of being like buried or cremated or whatever, you're turned into like furniture or useful items that is just used by the general public that you can buy. So like it's a lot more expensive, but like a table made out of human bone is going to be seen as a lot more valuable and high class. I gave it about a 3-star. It had some neat commentary in it, I think, on like end of life practices, but it didn't fully go there for me. The second story in this was, which one was that? I know it was a little bit longer one. It was weird. Oh, it didn't work for me as much. It was okay. It was more about food and how people connect through food. And there was some neat commentary in there. It was just about a bunch of people's weird eating habits in this society, and it was okay. I think it was closer to maybe like a 2.5, if that, 2.5. And then we had 2 more. The first one was called A Summer's First Kiss, I believe. A Summer Night's Kiss. And then there was Two's Family also. And both of those, I think, we're following the same 2 characters. We have these 2 older Japanese women in like their 70s. But I think the first story, which was only like 5 pages at that, there was some inconsistency. So I don't know if it's supposed to be like a 2 different timelines idea or whatever. There was some questionable commentary on maybe like asexuality or being queer and older and just how you're viewed. There was stuff about like how in the second one, these 2 women were like raising a family together even though they weren't married just because they never got married. But then in the first one of them had been married and only had 2 kids instead of 3. And I don't know, it was really confusing to me where they fit. The first one I didn't like at all. I only gave it maybe 1.5 stars. The second one, I liked the message of the story, but I wish it would have just been what it was by itself, and I would have been happy with it. Which that one, I think, was probably my favorite overall, though, which I gave like a 3.5 to a 4. I'm not really good at rating short stories, so right now we're kind of around the 3 mark range on this. I'm hoping there's about 8 or so stories left. We're going to keep chipping away at this and see if they get better. I do think I am going to go and, get some other stuff done and maybe start one of my other books. I'm going to see what I can get on audio, and then we'll go from there. So I will check back in with you once I've either read more of Life Ceremony or once I've started another book and I get far enough to have an update. So it's the next day, and I have not really kept reading much of Life Ceremony. I'm going to do a little bit more of that later. But last night when I was making dinner, I did go ahead and decide to pick up a full novel and grab the audiobook. And I'm going to be starting on the next book of what I'm going to be reading, where I'm giving these authors another try. This next book is a bit of a shot in the dark because I haven't necessarily loved all of this author's books in the past. This is kind of my dark horse author I've been hoping for to see if I can finally get that good book, and that's going to be Gillian Flynn. So previously I have read both The Grown Up and Dark Places, and when I went back on my Goodreads, apparently I gave The Grown Up 4 stars, which I do not remember rating that remotely that high. I don't think back fondly on that book, but whatever. And then Dark Places I gave a 3. I also don't remember liking that book very much. There must have been a twist or something that I liked more in the moment. But I do definitely remember looking back at my Goodreads and calling it a slog. And that's kind of how I'm feeling now. So I am about 150 pages into sharp objects. And I'm specifically reading this for my third time because I have refused to read Gone Girl, being Gillian Flynn's magnum opus kind of thing, until I've read her other works, because I'm worried nothing else would ever live up and then I just DNF. And right now I'm really kind of wanting to DNF this. This is dragging. It is the same bits of information over and over again. We're following Camille, and she is a reporter from Chicago going back to her tiny hometown in Missouri, and she's basically investigative reporting on these murder, missing girl kind of situation. And I just don't care. It's the same information over and over, and it's just her going up to people, tell me about this. Going up to other people, tell me about that. It's not anything interesting happening. There's nothing other than her just snooping around and just interviewing people. She's not a good reporter. And I understand that Gillian Flynn is known for her unlikable characters, but like, you can write a good unlikable character, or you can just write a character that's bad at what they're doing, and I feel like that's what this is. There is nothing engaging about this to me. I don't know what we've got going on here. There's been maybe one or two scenes that are any kind of outside plot development, and even then I don't like the way it's fully handled. Since I do have this on audio, I'm reading through it pretty quickly. So I'm hoping that it gets better. Maybe there's some twist at the end I'm going to like. I am going to push through since it's for this vlog. I think this may make me just a Gillian Flynn hater, and it's going to be what it is. I'm still going to give Gone Girl a try at some point in the future, but I don't know. I'm not crazy about it. It's just dragging, and there's nothing to report on. Oh, also, why is our main character 30-something years old or something like that? She's a grown adult, and she's getting bullied by this 13-year-old girl constantly. And all of these adults in this town are just acting like this 13-year-old girl can just get away with whatever random prissy crap she wants. Like, what is... Someone do something. Okay? I don't care if there's whatever other reasons for whoever to be the way they are. She is 13 years old. 13 years old, and if she is coming up and she is making all these, like, inappropriate statements to adults and just causing problems, someone do something. Like, get involved. This, especially if you're the police. There are police officers that are just listening to her spout crap. Like, you're such a small, close-knit town. You all know each other. You know her mother. Why are we getting away with this? Anyways. But, like, also, you're 30 years old. Why are you just letting this girl talk crap at you? Anyways, rant over on that. We'll jump back in here at some point. I'm probably going to take a break from this. Maybe read a few more stories from Life Ceremony. I'll check back in once I have some kind of update on either of them. Alright, so it is later the same day, and I did pretty much everything but what I said I was going to do. So, I definitely said that the next thing I was going to pick up was probably some more short stories at a Life Ceremony. I'm still going to do that tonight, but I didn't quite get to it. Instead, I ended up making dinner and cleaning and some stuff like that, so I popped an audiobook back in and somehow managed to finish Sharp Objects. I knew that if I did not pick this back up, I wasn't going to finish it. And I wanted to for the sake of this video concept. This is going to be probably a 2 stars, and I feel like that's being very generous. I have so many negative thoughts on this book right now, and I could sit here and just hate and hate and hate and hate, which I'm going to a little bit, but I just don't even think it would do it justice. So, possible slight spoiler warnings for this book if you haven't read it. even though some of it is very obvious. There is a big theme around self-harm in this book. And just the representation on that I felt was so poorly done. It was so negative. It was sexualized at one point. It was just, I don't know. I know a lot of people in my life who have self-harmed, and I hated that representation and thought it was done so poorly. Also, just the misogyny. And I understand this is supposed to be in like a rural, small town kind of setting, but like, it wasn't just external misogyny, it was our own character's voice. And I understand there's some degree of mental illness and trauma and stuff with our character, but it was just an absurd amount, and it was so much to listen to. There were times when things with either of these topics would come up, and I just phased out a little bit, not because I couldn't handle it, but just because it was too much to listen to. And it just was on and on, it felt like. It just made me angry. Like, I was viscerally angry while reading it, and I'm still not happy about it. Also, I mentioned it before, I think, but like, there are so many things happening with these children in this book, and it's like, what? And it just gets worse from like wherever I was before. Like, there are so much just drugs and alcohol and different levels of bullying between same age kids, older kids. Like, our main character is 30 years old and starts like doing things with children that you should not be doing. Like, I don't understand, like, how everyone in this town knew about almost everything going on. It was straight through the rumor mill of the small town. No one was surprised that this 13-year-old was taking Oxy, or this 13-year-old was doing this. Like, it was just common knowledge. The police knew. Why is nothing being done? I'm just... What? I'm baffled. I am angry. I do not like this. And honestly, like I said, I wish I would have just not read it. I could have looked it up. Nothing surprised me. Everything happened in pretty much a way I expected it to. But, like, I can't wait to unhaul this book. That's really what it is. I just want to unhaul it. I want to get rid of it like I did with the past 2 Gillian Flynn's I've read. I keep picking them up because I know that Gone Girl is like her big book and I want to read it. But this did not help this video, and I should have known better. This is my least favorite at this point of her books. And that 2 stars is literally just because I do recognize there are some marks of a good writer, and I recognize you're not supposed to like the character, so like, she did that, but just overall it wasn't good. I did find out it was the debut at least, so I can forgive a little bit for maybe something in there. I don't know. There's no point where any of these topics, the way they were handled, were okay. But anyways, I am done with Sharp Objects, thankfully. I don't have to read it anymore. I am going to keep up with Life Ceremony, so I probably won't do an update on that tonight. But I do think that I'm going to probably focus on it at least through the night, maybe tomorrow. Hopefully tomorrow I'm going to pick up one more book at least for this video, because I do have another author in mind, and I am really, really excited for this one. So I will check in with you, though, once I've made those final decisions. Okay, so apparently, since my last update, my camera has decided that it no longer wants to work. So fortunately, Tabitha has come into clutch with a camera that I can use, so we can at least finish up this vlog. I did finish Life Ceremony by Sayaka Murata, And while I'm not going to go through every single story on this, I am going to give this 3.5 stars. The title story was by far my favorite. It was kind of taking on these themes of life and human practices around what happens when you die. And just, it was really weird. It reminded me a lot of a mix of like Earthlings and Convenience Store Woman kind of combined. And it talked about like this dystopian kind of future where instead of having a regular funeral, people or families or whoever get together and they cook whoever has passed away and they feast on them, and that's kind of how they bring in new life because then they go and procreate afterwards. It was weird, it was strange, but it worked for me. There were some other weird stories, like there was one about like a curtain that falls in love with a girl or something that didn't work as well for they were just strange. So it just kind of was hit or miss depending on the story. I landed on a 3.5 stars overall. And then, while I was originally going to update you, I got through Horror Movie by Paul Tremblay, which was probably my most anticipated. I've got the nice sprayed edges. There's some cool end papers if my hands were where I could show you right now. This is following our narrator as he is being hired on for the reboot of this film he was in when he was younger that was never fully really released, and there's like a lot of mystery around what actually happened during this film set. So it's kind of like that cursed film kind of genre, but some of the past scenes are also told through scripts, and I should have known cursed film may not have been the way to go, but I have loved Tremblay so much in the past. This was the most likely to be a success just because of the author, because The Cabin at the End of the World was a 5-star for me, and A Head Full of Ghosts was a surprising 4. So I was really hoping. Unfortunately, not everything worked for it. I was so super neutral. I mean, I figured everything out really quickly, even though a lot of people say it's super confusing. I thought it was pretty straightforward upon reading, and I knew it was going to happen for like 90% of the book. I don't know if I would widely recommend it. It was fine. There's some good gory scenes. Tremblay always uses a unique character to voice that, in this case, I wasn't the hugest fan of. But I did enjoy it enough. I don't think I've ever felt this neutral. Like, I don't have strong opinions either way overall. Also, if you've never listened to the audiobook, it does get really weird where they try to do these scripts as like a table read, and it's kind of messy, and there's some weird like corrections that don't fully line up. So, don't know how much I would recommend this one, but it was fine. Alright, so the SD card on this is filling up, and I don't want to mess with a bunch of Tabitha stuff, so we're just going to do a real quick outro. I did fortunately give, well, I didn't have the greatest time with some of these books. I don't know why I said fortunately. But overall, for giving authors a third try, sadly, these are some of the lowest rated books I've read from all of these authors. I gave Sharp Objects, I believe I said either a 1.5 or a 2-star. I don't remember what I rated it. I barely remember the book this long in. It wasn't good. Life Ceremony would be a 3.5, and Horror Movie was just a straight 3. So sadly, I didn't get any new favorites, even though some of these authors I've really enjoyed in the past. But I'm really hoping to get some good ones in and maybe give this another try in the future. Thank you so much for coming. Sorry for this crazy rushed ending to the video. This is not how I thought filming this vlog was going to go. But thank you so much anyways for sticking through. Please make sure to like and subscribe, as it really helps get the videos and stuff out there and just helps the channel grow. And hopefully I will see you in the next one. Bye.